Hello everybody and welcome to issue 2 of Comics Are Garbage. After the transitional horror episode last time with Jason X, segueing from my horror show to the comic show, this time we're going to go a little more traditional, not full-fledged capes and tights and all that, but one of my favorite kind of comic books, the anti-hero. Now, I could pick a character from Marvel. They have endless fucking anti-heroes, like Punisher, and so I'm gonna go with somebody a little less known, even though he has his own movie now that just came out last month, or March, because it's May now. Crazy. Anyway, so he has his own movie, so maybe he's not that small or little known anymore. So maybe we're gonna talk about Big Shot today, instead of Bloodshot. But no, we're going to talk about Bloodshot. And we're going to find out, is it really Bloodshot or is it Bloodshit? Let's find out on this episode, this issue of Comics Are Garbage. Before we get started, beware of spoilers for the comics and the movie, because you really can't talk about Bloodshot and his origin without giving away the first half of the movie. I mean, you could watch this and learn what I'm going to tell you and still enjoy the movie. I'll get to my review of that later. But just in case if you want to go in completely blind and you don't know anything about Bloodshot and you want to watch the movie clean slate, you'll see the joke in there later. You'll get that later too. Yeah, skip ahead. Or skip this whole episode, because who the fuck watches this anyway? I'm gonna read off my phone now, but try to make it look like I'm not, because I have a 5-second memory. Look, I'm bored even doing this. Not really, it's late and I'm tired. Bloodshot was created by Kevin Van Hook and Don Perlin for Valiant Comics. Now, if you haven't heard of Valiant Comics, they came out around the 90s during the big 90s boom. Sorry. Corona. There was Marvel and DC, the two big ones, and then everybody talks about in the 90s how Image came about. But there are many other indie comic book companies that came out too, like Dark Horse and Valiant being one of them. But really, with this issue, this episode, spoiler alert, I like Bloodshot. I like Bloodshot a lot. I didn't really know about him that much as a kid. I didn't know about him until I got older, because in the mid-2000s or so, Valiant kind of had a resurrection, and that's when I first picked up a couple issues. I got the first 4 issues. It's 1 and then 4. I have all of them in there because I'm cheap. I don't bag and board everything. Sometimes I put multiples in there. When I had my pull list at the time, a pull list is at a comic book shop. Basically a list that you give the owners to set aside for you each month or each week, however often the comics you want come out, and they'll set them aside for you, put them in a file. But I was reading so much stuff at the time that I wanted to try new things, and I tried Bloodshot, because it looked cool, and it was actually pretty good, but I just didn't have the money to keep buying what I had already been reading for a while and new stuff. So after issue 4, I just kind of let Bloodshot go. And it wasn't until here recently, admittedly, yes, with the movie got my interest back into it again. And I picked up a new series, which you could actually pick this up. It's only 2 trades so far, only like 3 or 4 issues in each trade. These are about $10 each, so it's easy to catch up. Bloodshot has had many different series. It keeps getting, like, I don't know if they get canceled or if they just told the story they wanted. But the problem with indie comics, and this happens in the big 2 a lot too, writers and artists just get switched out constantly, mostly because they're doing multiple things at once and they don't have time to make the deadlines. So they'll get somebody else, and eventually the thing just gets canceled or dropped. Maybe because of lack of sales, maybe something else, I don't know. But unfortunately, this happens to Bloodshot a lot. But each time that they redo it, it's still kind of the same. And that's kind of the bad thing about Bloodshot, is it's kind of the same story over and over, which is fine. Because if you love Punisher comics like I do, it's literally just Frank Castle killing some new people. Here's some new people. Frank killed them all. The end. Okay, here's some new people. Frank killed them all. The end. Here's some new people. Oh, Frank didn't kill them all. Oh, he found the last guy, killed him. The end. Kind of the same with Bloodshot. Jeff Lemire did some stuff where they had a whole Spider Island take where everybody got Bloodshot powers, and it was ridiculous. So they've tried some things here and there, but just stick to the basics. I mean, with a Bloodshot comic, you know what you're gonna get. Full panels, excellent art for the most part, of Bloodshot just getting riddled with bullets and other things. Not much dialogue, very few dialogue boxes, mostly just art. So if you're a big fan of just comic art, these series are great because you can just pick them up. Here's the definitive edition of the 2012 series, I believe. This is the first series that I read that I loved. And I don't want to spoil stuff too much, but really should have had this planned out, but here's just some random art. Just a whole lot of that. Of giant 1-pages. I mean, it's great art, especially this series specifically. Fantastic art. But I had a half-assed script written when I was gonna do this episode, but I kind of gave up on that, and now I'm just kind of winging it, so I'm sorry if this episode's all over the place. And I'm sorry if I'm a little sweaty, but fat. It happens. So, about Bloodshot, and here's where the spoilers start. Originally, his name was Angelo Mortelli, or something like that, and he worked for the mob, and his mob boss turned on him, so he turned state witness, and then he was stolen by this company called Project Rising Spirit. Think like Weapon X with Wolverine and Marvel and all that. And they took him and experimented on him, wiped his memory, and this is the basis of Bloodshot. They wipe his memory, program a new personality into him, or make them think that a certain person they want killed his family. So then with all the rage of that, he goes and kills that person. When he's done, they wipe him clean and start over again. And that's pretty much what every series of Bloodshot is him trying to find his true identity, because Angelo Mortelli might not be, and we find out later that that's not even his real personality or real identity. Before that, he was Raymond Garrison, and later we find out that that might not even be true. So, right now, kind of like Wolverine for the longest time didn't know who he was, and then he finally found out decades later. It's kind of the same thing, because Bloodshot is kind of a mixture of Wolverine mixed with Captain America with the whole super soldier serum and all that, mixed with the Punisher, just mixed in with a lot of cliches, especially a lot of 90s characters kind of all ripped off of the same things, because that's what was cool at the time. But what makes Bloodshot cool is he has a healing factor, but it's based on nanites and nanite machines. So, episode 1 of Comics Are Garbage, we talked about Jason X with Uber Jason having the nanites that would heal him. So it's kind of nice that we're talking about Bloodshot in issue 2, and he has nanites also. It's kind of the same deal. Nanites heal his wounds, but they heal them very quickly, so that's why in a lot of the comics it's just Bloodshot taking all kinds of damage because he can. So he can just walk up, get shot to shit, heal almost instantly, and then just kill the ever-living fuck out of people. So, I mean, that's kind of the greatness of the comics, is that he's such a badass. And with some people with like Wolverine and even Deadpool, depending who's writing him, sometimes his healing factor can take a while. Bloodshot, in most of the comics that I've read, I admit I haven't read everything, but I've read enough of the series, of the different series, to know basically what it's about. And he heals a lot faster than Wolverine and Deadpool for the most part, so he's got that going for him. Another problem with the comics, if we're going to talk negatives, like I said before, after a couple issues they might change artists. Sometimes in one issue there will be multiple artists, so page to page it'll be drastically different, and sometimes that can really throw you out of the... you can't get into it very well because the art is just jarring how it changes, so... problem with that, also with the Punisher, is that, like I said, he kills everybody. So there's not many reoccurring characters in Bloodshot comics, unless they're other characters from the Valiant universe, which we may talk about them some other day. But Bloodshot seems to be the poster boy of Valiant, the character that made Valiant, you know, what it is today. And that's why he got a movie first. They're hoping, based on how that did, that they can create more and make a cinematic universe, because that's what everybody's fucking trying to do, of course. Worked for Marvel. DC's not doing too well, but it doesn't help that Bloodshot came out and then immediately the pandemic happened. So, theaters shut down. It's went to digital, and I think the Blu-ray comes out here soon. Maybe even a couple days, I don't remember, but yeah. So that's a problem with the comics. Kind of repetitive, no reoccurring characters for the most part. But you know what? If you got the time, you got the extra money, you got room in your pull list, try out the new series that's going on. I think you'll like it. If you like violent comics, they're not over-the-top ridiculous like Marvel Max, where it's just kind of childish how over-the-top it is. But it's violent enough that it's just really enjoyable. It's a lot of fun. So now let's talk about the Bloodshot movie. March 13th, so not too long ago, the movie came out, starring Vin Diesel. I wasn't a big Vin Diesel fan, honestly. I liked him in Pitch Black, and that's kind of the movie that, like, made him known. And then everything after that, he's kind of monotone. It's mostly that I don't like, not that I don't like him, I don't like a lot of the movies he was in. I hate the Fast and Furious movies, except for some of the later ones, because they just get so over the top. They're not even, like, car movies anymore. It's just dumb, fun action, so... but when I heard Vin Diesel, I was like, my biggest gripe, I'm like, he's not gonna look like Bloodshot. He's gonna look like Vin Diesel. They're not gonna have him painted white. He's probably going to be bald, so like I said, he's not going to look like this. So, I mean, you know, muscular guy with a buzz cut. Vin Diesel's usually bald. So, I guess they got a muscular soldier type guy. He's bald, I can get over that. It's just that when he gets his powers, he's not white, like all the way white. And they have this thing where Bloodshot has the circle on his chest that's always bleeding because that's the one part of his body that doesn't heal. So that's not a logo on his chest, he's just always bleeding there. In the movies, they say it's the nanites working. When they're really working hard, it lights up. So that's their excuse for that. Why? I don't know. Why do you think he's called Bloodshot? Right there. Common sense, but... so in the movie, like I said, it's about an hour, 40-some minutes long. The first half of the movie is, spoiler alerts again, him, Raymond Garrison, going to war. He gets killed, he gets, well, his wife, he's in the army, or on a secret mission or something, and the bad guy catches him, kills his wife in front of him, and then shoots him in the head. He wakes up, and he's at the lab of Project Rising Spirit, and they experimented on him, told him that he was dead, showed him a video, showed, hey, this guy killed your wife. So, you know, he tests out his powers a bit, he escapes, goes, and kills the guy. Then you find out that Project Rising Spirit wiped his memory, made them think that that guy, because that was a guy, I won't spoil the whole movie for you, but they wanted that guy dead. So they wipe his memory again, replace that same memory, but with the new face of another guy, and he does it again. And then the last half of the movie is him finding out that he's being manipulated. So then he tries to get revenge against Project Rising Spirit. In the movie, it might not be called Project Rising Spirit, but it's still Rising Spirit something. They tried to make it seem like it was more just like a company, like a tech company, instead of this evil organization doing experiments, but whatever. So, I mean, the movie's nothing new or original, but it's still entertaining. There's enough action in it. It didn't have the budget of a Marvel movie, so they couldn't do as much. And at the very end, for about 5 minutes, his nanites go out of control, and he actually does turn whitish, and his eyes go dark. And he almost looks like Bloodshot. So it's like the fact that they did it just for the last couple minutes was kind of annoying, but at least we got it, I guess. So if this gets a sequel, which who knows, because since the whole theater's closed and everything, who knows? It will really depend how well it does on Blu-ray and DVD, on if they make more movies or not. So I hope they do. Like I said, it's nothing great, but I really enjoyed it. It's kind of like the comics. If you enjoy Punisher comics, you'll enjoy that. If you enjoy Punisher movies, you'll enjoy the Bloodshot movie. There's also a web series that's on YouTube now, as just all put together as a complete movie, called Ninjak vs. the Valiant Universe. Ninjak is a character from Valiant, obviously, and Bloodshot is in it, played by Jason David Frank, who played the Green Power Ranger. That's what he's most known for, and other Power Rangers. He actually looks like what he looks like in the comic. It's a cheap little thing that they did, but it actually looked pretty well. Like, for a fan film or whatever it is, it looks great. And they did a really good job casting Jason to play him, because he looks pretty great. So that's on YouTube. Look that up, watch that. Buy Bloodshot the movie when it comes out. Buy some of the comics. I know this episode I was just kind of rambling, but like I said, I don't really want to write a script. I kind of want to just speak from the heart with this series, as opposed to Everybody Dies. Comics are garbage, I'm just kind of winging it. Because comics are something that I'm passionate about, and I feel like it'll be artificial if I'm just reading from my phone. I put some facts there just to make sure that I say them, because I can get sidetracked very easily. So, But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Bloodshot, great comic, okay movie. Try it out, give it a chance, you know? I love Marvel, I love DC, but, and even Image is kind of getting, like, up there too, but where Image isn't even really considered the little guy anymore, but there are Valiant and many other smaller independent comic book companies that you should give a chance. Always help out the little guy, that's what I'm always looking for. That's why I have nothing but Marvel figures behind me, because I'm a fucking hypocrite. But you know what? There is a Bloodshot action figure from the movie, and it just looks like a Vin Diesel action figure, but you know what? I'll probably end up buying it anyway. Other than that, they don't make much Bloodshot stuff. There's some t-shirts and whatnot, but they don't make enough merch for the smaller characters like that, unfortunately. But alright guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed me rambling on and on, nonsensically, making up words, sweating a lot. Got the light right in my eye, it hurts, even though it still looks dark as hell on here. My voice is getting hoarse, so I think it's time to stop. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll let you know what next episode is going to be on the Facebook page. I have a lot of ideas lined up, but I'm not sure which one or what order I want to do them in, so I'll let you guys know as soon as I figure it out. Until then, I've been fucking Dave, or David C., whatever my name is on this show. Just call me the Clerk with a mouth. And I'll see you next time. And remember, comics are garbage.
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?